Meteorologist Jonathan Keg is back with you. It's Sunday night, 9:30. We are tracking some pretty impactful weather across Central Florida that's going to move in over the next 24 to 48 hours and kind of settle in through the middle of the work week. We had some of the stronger thunderstorms slide through across parts of Central Florida earlier. We were streaming live for about an hour and a half earlier this evening, and now we're focused on part two of this weather story, which is the arrival of the record cold that really starts to come in tomorrow and then settles back in on Tuesday. That is going to be the coldest morning of the bunch of this very rare and potentially record-breaking cold blast coming into Central Florida. We're coming at you live tonight on the News 6 weather app, on the News 6 news app, on clickorlando.com, on News 6 Plus, and on the News 6 YouTube page. We're meeting you guys wherever you are. I know you're busy getting ready for the work week ahead, and we want to help you plan that out with, again, a lot of cold coming down the pipeline. Today was humid. Today was warm. We talked about that near record warmth before the near record cold, and now I think we can shave off the near. I think a lot of us are going to be breaking records when we wake up on Tuesday morning. So first things first, this was issued earlier by the National Weather Service. That is a freeze watch for parts of Marion County. I do anticipate this to expand over the next couple of days, maybe into parts of Sumter County, Lake County, different National Weather Service offices at work. But I think we're going to see this expand a little bit due to the fact that I do think we are going to see widespread temperatures get down to 32 degrees or colder. We're going to get into that forecast in just 1 second if you stick with me. The one thing what the freeze watch means is that this is issued for pipes and plants. That's what the freeze watch has to deal with. We're likely going to see cold weather advisories. That's for humans, that's for pets, and that's all the other thing. But this is dealing with pipes and pipes and plants. There's a lot of P's when we're talking about the cold. I'm not too concerned about pipes. I don't. Really need to be below 28 degrees for all night for that to happen. I do not foresee that with this round of colder air coming through. This is mainly going to be a plant issue. Anything that is not protected, brought in, or covered, probably not going to make it through this cold blast. So anything that you want to save, any crops you want to save, any potted plants, bring those in. If you do have sensitive plants outside, now is the time you want to start to cover those. That's going to really be areas northwest of I-4. It's going to be cold enough for frost too. The wind likely going to help us while it's going to hurt the wind chill factor, and it's going to make it feel a lot colder outside on Tuesday morning. That's going to actually help prevent widespread frost from falling. So we're going to break down some numbers here. But first, we're going to play a game of pin the tail on the cold front. I think this is an easy one tonight to actually see where the cold front is. It is now slicing from about Charlotte, now south of Atlanta, down into Pensacola to New Orleans. The major drop in temperature from Jacksonville to Pensacola, it's already there. And this arrives into Central Florida overnight tonight. So I think we're going to wake up tomorrow morning. It's still going to be decent outside, 50s and 60s for lows. And then we're going to see our high temperatures basically reached by the latter stage of the morning. And then we're going to watch temperatures fall throughout the course of the afternoon, even with dominant sunshine out there. So it is going to be a wild change of pace over the next couple of days. As that front comes through, there is the potential for a few more thunderstorms. We had a few out there today. Here's 2 o'clock in the morning. This is as the strong front's pushing through. Could generate a couple of downpours, maybe a stray rumble of thunder. So don't be surprised if you hear that overnight. And then we will watch the cold air, dry air plunge in, and that is going to help to take the clouds away. I think we may be able to keep some of those higher thin clouds. But holy cow, it is going to feel super, super cold. So again, high temperatures tomorrow, climb back into the low to mid 60s. Look at the wild ride that we are going on in the temperature department. Look at this. So there we were at 6 o'clock tonight. We were at 77 degrees. It was warm. It was humid. Okay, so tomorrow there's 10 o'clock in the morning. That's our high temperature, guys. It's happening in the latter stages of the morning, so don't be caught off guard by that either. we're talking 64 degrees, and then the temperatures start to plummet. By 6 o'clock, we're in the mid 50s. By 10 o'clock, we're in the upper 40s. And then as we move into the morning, we have the wind factor. So those colder, where it gets colder, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., 10 a.m., once the air temperature gets below 50, we are going to watch the wind chill takes over if it's windy enough. And it is. So it's that 28 you see there on Tuesday in Orlando is the wind chill. It is going to be brutal on Tuesday morning in Central Florida. By 2 o'clock, we're back into the mid 50s at least, but I think we're keeping high temperatures in the 50s. Even in Orlando, most of us will see high temperatures in the 50s on Tuesday. So this is a wild, wild ride in the temperature department that we are going to be going on thanks to this strong cold front again that arrives overnight tonight. Here, as we expand this a little bit further out into a few more neighborhoods, these are the actual air temperatures. These are the actual low temperatures that we are going to observe on Tuesday morning. At least this is our forecast. We're at 38 in Orlando. That is crazy to see air this cold, to feel air this cold in the first part of November. Like this is rivaling the coldest air we felt all last year in the coldest part of winter. Like these cold blasts are typical for Central Florida. We normally get 1 or 2 of these big ones a year. They're more typical late December into January. But this is wild. Bushnell, we're talking the freezing mark. The Villages, we're talking the freezing mark. New Smyrna Beach, we're at 38 tomorrow morning. Ocala, or Tuesday morning, excuse me. Tomorrow, we're still doing okay. Tomorrow morning. This is for Tuesday morning. Pearson, we're at the freezing mark. Palm Coast, we're at 33. Mico in the low 40s. Melbourne, we are at 42. That puts us into big time record territory. So these are the records for Tuesday morning. I'll get my head out of the way again. Just absolutely crazy stuff. Again, 38's our forecast, and it could even be colder in Orlando. That should break the record of 39 set back in 1932. Daytona Beach, we're going to be very, very close to our record set back in the 50s. Sanford, we are forecasting a record 38 degrees is our temperature forecast. The record was 39 set back in the 60s. And then Ocala, my gosh, 30 degrees in Ocala. The record is 34, set back in 1943. And again, as mentioned, we are going to have the wind component with this, so that's going to add insult to injury across Central Florida. So it's just wild out there, incredibly wild. Zachary's asking, with this winter, will we see more record low temperatures for high and lows this winter? I don't think so. I think that the winter as a whole is going to be pretty warm. And technically, we haven't gotten to the winter yet. So this is outside of winter. I do think, though, we are going to be susceptible to a few cold blasts leading up to Christmas. And then once I think we get beyond the first week of January, this is actually coming out tomorrow morning. My take on the winter forecast that comes out at early tomorrow morning, but I think it's a runaway blowtorch once we get to the middle part of January. Yeah, huge anomaly back in 1977. Mimi Love Goodlaw is asking about the snow there. What happened was, I might have the setup. Hold on, I might have that still in here. Let me see. If you stick around, I'll try to find that graphic. I might have a graphic of the 77 snowstorm. Basically, you need to have enough moisture. You need to have the cold front come through, and then you basically need to have an area of low pressure form over the Atlantic to send back moisture into the cold. That's what we had going on to get the snow in Central Florida. You need to have moisture coming in after the Arctic intrusion, the Arctic air comes through. So that's why it's so incredibly hard, because like this one's going to be progressive and just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. So we will see. That's a good bet, Zachary. I don't know. I don't know that we will. It's going to be really, really dry, especially once we get to the middle of January. January, February, March look very dry. Very dry. I'm worried about getting ourselves into a drought situation again. So here's the wind chill. This is what we're waking up to on Tuesday morning. Yikes. With a capital Y. That's what it's going to feel like outside, 20s and 30s. It is going nuts. Absolutely going nuts on Tuesday morning. It's pretty wild. So I want to give you guys some perspective. I wrote a story on clickorlando.com, an article there talking about the perspective. This is, make no mistake about it, this is an extremely rare event for November. If this was happening in January, I think we could be threatening all-time record low temperatures. It's that cold, and the wind direction is positioned just perfectly so that it keeps out the warmer water. Like, that's the other component to this, is a lot of times when you have the front come through, you keep the wind, the air coming over the warmer water a little bit, and then that kind of contaminates the temperature drop. Here, it's coming straight down the Florida peninsula, and that's what's helping to supply this crazy blast of Arctic air as it moves into Tuesday. It's wild. So for some perspective, and I think this is some mind-blowing stuff here. So using the climate station at the Orlando International Airport, 38 degrees is our current forecast. It might get colder than that. It might get to 37 or 36. And actually, we're going to do this in real time. The latest model data should be because of the time change. We're going to look to see if it dropped even further. Stand by while I load that data. Let's see if it came in yet. It is not in yet. But I will tell you, the morning run came in at 33 degrees for Orlando. So there is definitely more room for it to come down. So I spelled November like that on purpose because it was supposed to be like Novem and then burr, like it's cold. It's supposed to be a joke. That's why it's spelled like that. But it's gonna be really cold. The coldest temperature we had all of last year in Orlando was 38 degrees. That was back in January. And then if we realize what some of the model forecasts are projecting, we could be rivaling the coldest morning that we felt since way back in 2023. So this is crazy that we're rivaling like the coldest winter temperatures over the last couple of years in the month of November, and in early November at that. For more perspective on that, with the forecast of 38 degrees, that makes it, and I mean, this really applies for all of Central Florida. It's the coldest air this early since 1993. So it has been a long, long time, 32 years, since we have seen air this cold this early in Central Florida. It's just wild. There's no two ways about it. And again, that's going to lead to likely some of us breaking their daily records through the day on Tuesday, or in the morning on Tuesday. I think we could have record cool high temperatures fall. Melissa, there is still an opportunity for some rain before tomorrow morning in New Smyrna Beach. But it is just wild. Okay, so I'm going to go look to see. Okay, no, that one was from the 1899 one. So I don't have. So the one I'm remembering is from 1899. These are the graphics that I have. I doing a story on this one. So if you remember back in my day, the late 1800s. This is one of the most significant ones on record here. But same kind of deal. There was snow back in 1899. Most of it was in the Panhandle again as that front came through, and we had some moisture come back in. So that was back then. So sorry, I don't have the setup. I remember I've made it once before, that graphic, and there was an area of low pressure that developed kind of like right over Daytona Beach, and that put back moisture into the Arctic air. So that's where you always if we're ever going to get snow in Central Florida, you need to have the Arctic front come through first, give us the fresh injection of some colder air, and then you need to have some kind of moisture source, likely an area of low pressure developing off of that front over the Atlantic, sending some of the Atlantic moisture back into this dome of colder air, and then that's how you get it to snow in Central Florida. It seems easy. It's really, really hard for that to happen. So just as we had that pop up, it's not going to snow on Tuesday, even though it is going to be cold enough for that to happen. Here we go. I want to show you this real quick. This is going to be the actual temperature drop here. So this is kind of where we are right now. I'm going to put this into motion. Look at that blue come right on down, and just those temperatures take a plunge. And it just takes a plunge. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm going to use this example. Okay, I just for everybody, if you're just tuning in, it's not snowing tomorrow. There was just a question brought up. I promise, or it's not snowing on Tuesday. I promise you that. It takes a whole heck of a lot. But just to answer Mimi Love Goodlaw's question, you're absolutely right. So the front comes through, it takes all the moisture away. However, how you get it to snow in Central Florida, and again, the title says Great Arctic Outbreak of 1899. I was working on a story last winter about the Great Arctic Outbreak of 1899. The front comes through, it delivers the cold, dry air mass. But what oftentimes happens is you get an area of low pressure to develop right along the front, like a nor'easter type thing. And what that does is you get counterclockwise wind flow back off the Atlantic. So now you've had a fresh injection of Arctic air down the Florida Peninsula, and now you have moisture coming in, the warm, moist air, relatively speaking, off of the Atlantic, coming back in and then being lifted up, um, over that dome of colder air. And then as air rises, it cools, condenses, and then it precipitates. If it's cold enough, it snows. So the key is, again, to have the front go through and then to get an area of low pressure here to get your wind direction to come back off of the Atlantic to moisten up the air mass again. That's the thing that you need, because seldom do we have Arctic air in place when the lifting mechanism, the front, comes through to help get the precipitation going. That makes sense. So that's how, if we were ever going to get snow in Central Florida again, that's the setup that you would look for. Front coming through, coastal storm developing, sending back some moisture into that cold dome. So there's kind of a gigantic tangent for the evening, but that stuff is super interesting. So great question, and we always tend to get off the rails when we talk, because we have a lot of great weather conversation on the show, which, by the way, we do this every night if you're unaware, 9:30 Monday through Friday. Check us out again on News 6 Plus and right here on the News 6 YouTube page. If you've never checked out the show, again, we're here every night, 9:30, shooting the breeze, talking about how the weather is going to impact you, and then kind of getting into but holy cow. And chassis system, again, hit the nail on the head there with that for sure. There's a big moisture source on all sides pretty much, except for the north side, of course, as Florida's peninsula. So there's water on three sides. All righty, guys. I hope that you are aware of what is coming again Tuesday morning. That's what we are waking up to. Actual air temperature. Protect your plants northwest of I-4. Wind chills are going to be brutal. That's 7 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Nuts out there. Wind chills in the 20s and 30s across all of Central Florida. We're going to have much more on this coming up at News 6 at 11. Latest model data going to come in terms of any rain chances as the front blasts through overnight. And we're going to have the latest forecast on if we tweak it down a little bit. Again, I think the only changes that will be made in any kind of number tweaking for the forecast for Tuesday is going to be for the colder. This air mass means business, guys. It's something to see for sure. And again, if this was coming in January, this type of this kind of setup, I think we'd be in the lower. I mean, like we'd probably bottom out in the 20s without the wind. Maybe even colder than that. I mean, this is pure Arctic air. If it was snow on the ground, all that stuff. But anyway, it's just it's crazy. Alrighty, guys, be safe, be warm. When the cold gets here, it's going to be a big change. I will see you guys tonight at 11 o'clock on News 6. If you're just joining and finding News 6 for the first time, we're the CBS affiliate, WKMG, out of Central Florida. We're also on News 6 Plus. Thank you guys for spending a little bit of your Sunday night with me as we are tracking this very rare November Arctic blast. I'll see you tonight at 11.